during the bull market when the ETH gas prices were the highest, I had to pay over $1,400 to end one of them.
Hopefully gas prices do calm down a little more. And speaking to Johnny, because he actually, I forget where I saw him. I forget who I saw him on with the other day. I saw some interview with him somewhere. He's a ubiquitous guy. So I saw him somewhere though. And he was talking about, and you actually were saying to me something you walk about, the highest amount you've had to pay in gas to end a HEX stake. And we've had our discussions obviously here before about like how untenable the ETH gas fees may get, especially for ending a HEX stake, which is part of the big reason for PulseChain, obviously. But I ran a poll the other day just to see what, you got to keep in mind here. I mean, like there could be viewers who are like newer to HEX. There could be old heads and stuff like that. And it was a pretty even split between having to pay a maximum gas fee in their lifetime with HEX of over $300 to about like $100 to $250, even to the maximum they've had to pay being between like $25 and $75. So, what kind of ranges have you been looking at, Ewok, is like the most that you've ever had to pay? And we're not in bullish times now, but you've had to unstake obviously in like the top of the bull market and stuff. So what's some of the toughest ones you've seen? And also, I know you've talked about on this show before too, when you were new to HEX, not totally understanding like the contract, not knowing the most optimal way to use it, you had tons of different stakes.
I'll tell you about it. The first several months that I was buying from the AA, I would just set 5,000 out for this day, 5,000 out for this day, 10,000 out for this day. I mean, literally at one point I had stakes coming out every 3 days. And during the bull market, when the ETH gas prices were the highest, I had to pay over $1,400 to end one of them.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow.
That was the most I had to pay for any of them. But because they were so frequent, and there were so many, now I've finally gotten my ladder where where it should be. And I don't have that problem anymore. But yeah, we were just, like Johnny said, we were just throwing them out there, man. Because Richard said it's designed to do 10,000x in 2.5 years. So what did I do? Well, hey, here's 2.5 years. Here's to throw a bunch of them out there at that point, and see what happens. And I did, and unfortunately, I had to pay for it quite handsomely. So
right now, the one thing about that is, and for people that maybe have a cursory understanding of HEX or maybe haven't like staked a ton of it yet, do remember too, first off, that staking isn't, you don't have to do that, obviously, but also remember that you do have a 2-week period to end it. So, with after that starting to lose some of your gains and things, but it's not as if, oh God, it's up and whatever the gas fees are out, whatever the GUI is what I have to pay. So there is that flexibility anyway. So Johnny, same story as you, basically.
Yep, 1,500. It was for 10 grand.
Crazy,
but yeah. I mean, it was bad. I've spent over probably $40,000 in gas fees.
Wow, absolutely insane. Yeah, and that's something that PulseChain is going to be great, but Ethereum does have to figure that out. I mean, like that's just untenable. There's no reason for people to use that bloated of a network anymore at that point, And we've got these other layer 1s and layer 2s out there and everything, but the PulseChain is obviously specifically for the kind of HEX community and people using that. Although I think other people will be interested, obviously, in coming to that chain, which is going to be a lot of the interesting stuff we're going to see. So,
yeah. And luckily I had enough yield on my stakes that I could kind of plan for the next one. I did. The only HEX, there for the longest time that I had sold was in order to unstake. So I was still coming out ahead of the game, because I would end up restaking as much as possible, as much yield as possible. But I did have to burn some of the yield and switch it for ETH in order to unstake, so that I wasn't bleeding out. So
exactly, yeah. There's game theory even involved with that too. So yeah, and remember, if you are doing some kind of a staking ladder of some sort, you know, there's ways to do it. Luckily, there's so much hex kind of education and stuff out there now that you guys, you know, weren't privy to necessarily on day one, that, you know, people understand more about laddering and stuff like that. So that is good. Space those things out anyway. So
HEXPassiveIncome.com. My friend Crypto Coffee has created what I think is probably the best course for a new cryptocurrency investor. Not only that, but these courses usually charge an arm and a leg. Crypto Coffee is only charging $200. I think right now he actually has a discount for $150. I have a link below in the description. If you are new to crypto, do not understand HEX and how it works, click the link below. It's a quick, easy course. He only gives you the basics. I personally, myself, have thought about creating an intro to crypto course in the past. I don't think there's any reason to do so because Matt, Crypto Coffee, has already taken care of that. And I don't think anything needs to be added by anybody else. So check it out. The link is in the description, and sign up to HEX Passive Income today.